So can you tell us a little bit about the presentation?
Sure. The presentation was sort of like an envisioning of what would happen if Measure E were to pass. And I, as president, cannot endorse it because I cannot get involved in politics, but I can certainly imagine what would happen if $1.5 billion were to come to the region, actually to Fresno State, which would then in turn impact the region in a pretty profound way.
So what does Fresno State need when it comes to that 1.5?
We need a significant amount of money to go into deferred maintenance, which is becoming emergency maintenance, recently. We need another set of money to build new buildings for engineering and for nursing. Agriculture, of course, powers our region as well. It's very important too. We need another set of money to fund scholarships. We need another set of money to create partnerships with nonprofits in the region with whom we can really partner and impact through hands-on experiences for our students as well. We need another set of money to really envision what would happen if we were to go big in athletics, for example. And what would that happen? What would that mean to the brand of Fresno State and the brand of the Fresno region when a stadium or when another athletic venue such as equestrian is showcased to the world?
Why does this have to fall on taxpayers' shoulders?
I think the question should be, why should we invest in this? What do we get in return? And the answer to that should be, you get incredibly talented, invested individuals who stay right here in the region, who make your life much better, who improve the quality of life tremendously, and who ultimately will be the architects of where this region is moving forward in the future.
Why can't we go out to donors or enlarge the Fresno State Endowment?
Yeah, and we do that on a constant basis. The impact of our donor base it is not 1.5 billion, and I'm just going to say it. The impact of our donor base is important. They donate to scholarships, which is very important to us, but the level of that impact is not where we need it to be. Almost 70% of my students are first generation in their family. We award, on average, about $300 million in financial aid. My students are hardworking students. They work multiple jobs at the same time. So because of that, then we need to make sure that these students have the best opportunity in order to get a good education. And that means that the money that is being invested in Fresno State is being invested in regular people. It's regular people who are coming to me. The majority of my students come from this region, and it's this region that is going to ultimately benefit from a high quality education that Fresno State provides.
Fresno State gets about 5% of the state.
Of the total allocation.
The total allocation. How can Fresno State increase that percentage, if possible?
Yeah, so how do we increase the percentage of the allocation? We go to the legislature and say, this is what the CSU is contributing to the economy of California. This is what the 500,000 students of the CSU contribute to the future of California as well. And this is what the value is of the CSU. Whether it happens or not, that the legislature and the governor say, we are going to increase significantly the funding for this deferred maintenance or the funding for scholarships or the funding for the other areas that I mentioned is yet to be determined. And we try that each and every time when we go to Sacramento to advocate for the CSU for higher funding. But there's only so much that goes around, and at the end, there's only so much that the CSU receives.
So when the trustees decide what projects get funded, it's funded on a need basis. So would this put Fresno at the back of the line when it comes to the need basis?
So the trustees decide on what gets funded or what gets passed based on what is most urgent, number one, and number two, how many students are going to be impacted by this funding, number three, right? So within that then, within the grander scheme of what California is about, we are a very important region. However, there are other regions with more population and with more influence that oftentimes overshadow the needs of the Fresno region.
What do you say to those people that are kind of hesitant about this measure?
So again, I cannot endorse the measure. but I can only advocate. I cannot advocate for it either. I can only imagine what would happen if Fresno State were to receive $1.5 billion, right? If someone is uncertain about the impact of this tax money on Fresno State, they need to look closely at the impact that Fresno State has in the region overall. And they need to look closely as what this impact looks like in the everyday life. I mentioned teaching, for example. 80% of the region's teachers come from Fresno State. What does that mean? It means that were we to receive higher funding through Measure E or through the CSU or through other means, our teachers will be strongly, more powerfully educated, and our region in turn would then receive that benefit from that. So we need to think of this as an investment in ourselves for a tax that is directly geared and focused on Fresno State.
All right, thank you so much.
Sure.
Thank you, President.
There you go.
Appreciate it.
Nice to see you.
All right, thank you so much.